YouTube channel. If you're new here, then a very big hello. My name is Louise and me and my boyfriend Jake moved from the UK to Canada nearly a year ago. Oh my god, that's crazy, it's gone so fast. And if you are doing this move, then I have lots of information videos over on my channel, so go and check it out. Now, today's video has been requested so much. I get questions all the time. How much money to take to Canada? How much did it cost you? How much did you save? I think they're the three most popular questions I have in my inbox daily. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna make a video so I can just link people over to this video so they know how much we spent, how much everything costs. So this video is how much an IEC visa costs right from the beginning right through to when you land in Canada. Now, every bit of cost that I'm going to be chucking out in this video is all of my expenses that I personally had moving to Canada. Now, people might have slightly different ones just depending on where you're from in the UK. And you'll know what I mean a little bit more when we go more in depth in this video, but I just wanted to make a little disclaimer. I'm not a professional, I'm not a financial advisor. This is just how much me and my partner Jake spent getting our IEC visa. So this is just an insight on what we spent, how much we saved, and then I'm going to just recommend how much you bring with you. But like I said, every single person is different, but this is from people from the UK coming over to Canada. So if you see me looking down at all, it's because I'm looking into my little book. If you haven't already watched my step-by-step guide, then I do go recommend watching that first before this video, just because I'm going to do exactly the same layout of that video in this video, starting with applying and how much that costs right through to landing in Canada. So I'm going to do exactly the same layout. Section number 1 is applying for your visa and setting up your application. Now, if you watch that video that I just mentioned, you will know that you have to set up a profile with all of your information to then get put into a pool. Setting up your application and setting up your profile is completely free. It costs nothing. So when you are first applying, you do not need any money whatsoever. And I get this question a lot because I think people are scared to start the application process because they're scared they need all of the money to apply. But you do not need any money. You don't even need £1 to apply. Like, you just set up your profile and it is completely free. That's why I recommend everyone setting up their profile as quick as they can to get themselves into that pool, because it doesn't cost anything. And even if you decide that you don't want to move to Canada anymore, you haven't lost any money. So yeah, it is zero to apply and set up your application, which is brilliant news. So section number 2 of this video is going to be about your documents. Now, like I said in the previous video, when you're in the pool and you're just waiting to get the application, you can get all of your documents ready. And this is where the money starts happening. This is when you start having to spend money for certain things. So section 2 is going to be all about the documents that you need to get ready to apply when you get the invitation. Now, the first thing that you need to get ready is your passport. Now, you need 2 years in date in your passport, because an IEC visa is 2 years and you need your passport valid for the whole 2 years. So for example, if you only have a year or a year and a half or even 2 years on your passport, I recommend renewing your passport, just because it needs to be valid for 2 years when you land in the country. And to renew a English passport right now, I have just Googled it, it costs £75.50 to do it online, or it costs £85 to do it through paperwork. Now, I am just going to take the highest number and put that away and save it for the end. So when we renew our passports, we do it the paper way, so we paid the most expensive one, which was £85. I think we even paid a little bit more to get Jake's because we physically went to Liverpool and picked it up there and then. But I'm just going to say it cost us £85. So yes, the first cost that we had was £85. The second piece of document you need is a police certificate for everywhere that you have lived longer than 6 months. So if you live in the UK, you need a police certificate from the UK. Now, there's 2 options to this police certificate. The first option is to get it delivered to your home address within 10 working days, and that costs costs £45. The second option is to get it delivered to your home address within 2 working days, and that costs £80. So we paid £80 to get it within 2 working days, and it did come within 2 working days. We were so happy. We literally applied for it, then 2 days later we got it into our hands, which was amazing. Another thing that you need to think is, if you've traveled the world like myself, you may have lived in other countries for longer than 6 months, and you need to get a police certificate for those countries as well. I lived in Cyprus for 3 years, so I had to get a police certificate from Cyprus, and that was €20. Now every country is very different, but just keep that in mind at the end of this video when I give you a summary of how much it all costs. I have added an extra £20 just because I did have to get my Cyprus police certificate, which was €20. And the last part of documents you need is you need a passport size photo to scan in. Now we just went to a local Boots or supermarket and got our passport photos done, and it's normally around £8 to £10 to get it done. It is reasonably cheap, so I just put £10 in total for that section. Now you only do need 1 passport size photo to scan in, but we just got all 6. Like if you go to a booth in Boots, you have the option to get all 6, and we got 6 printed out, and we kept the other 5 along with the rest of our documents just in case they ask for another one along the process. So you have now been sitting in the pool, and you get your application to apply, you send off all of your documents, and then they will come back to you and ask for you to do your biometrics. Your biometrics is basically just a fingerprint, but you need to get it done in one place in the UK, which is in London. Now if you already live in London, this is brilliant because you don't need to pay to stay over for the evening, you don't need to pay for trains, you just have to pay to get to that location. So you will save a lot of money in this section. But for me, who is living in North Wales, we had to come up with extra charges. We stayed for 1 night when we went to get Jake's, my partners, we stayed for 1 night in London, and we paid for fuel to get down there. So that is going to be in my charges. But to get your actual biometrics done, it costs £19.20. So that's not that much at all. So if you already live in London and you live close to the Canadian Embassy, or it's really easy to get there, then it only costs you £19.20 for this section. But if you're like me and you live quite far away, it's obviously gonna be a little bit more. I think we paid £80 for the hotel, and we paid about £40 in fuel. So just remember that when we get to the end of the video and I give you a summary of how much it will cost, then there are extra charges there. When we were getting our biometrics done, there was someone who traveled all the way from Scotland, and they paid for flights from Scotland down to London. So obviously their expenses are gonna be slightly higher in that section. But so just keep that in mind when you're looking at traveling to London. Like I said, there is only one place you can get your biometrics done, and that is the Canadian Embassy in London. So section number 4, you've done your application, you've done your biometrics, and if you get accepted into Canada, which fingers crossed you all do, you then have to move on to the next step, which is insurance. You need insurance. I cannot stress this enough in every single video I do. You need insurance to cover you for the whole time you're in Canada. If you have a 2-year work and holiday visa, you need 2 years worth of insurance. Myself and my partner went through a company called True Traveller, which is recommended by a lot of people that have done this move, and I highly recommend as well. We have used them since we've been out here, and they have been absolutely incredible. I will link their page down below. But when you go through True Traveller, there are 3 sections you can go through. There's either the budget package, the silver package, or the gold package. We chose the budget package just because of a few reasons which I mentioned in the video a few weeks ago, so I won't mention them again on this video. But for our budget package, it cost us £489. Now that is a lot of money in one lump sum, but trust me, it is worth it. Like I said, I have already used it while I've been here, and it's definitely saved me money while we've been over here. I think the silver was around 800 and the gold was over 1,000. Now if that's something that you want to go through, then 100% I definitely recommend it. We just chose the budget, like I said, for a few reasons which I mentioned in the previous video. So just keep in mind your insurance are quite expensive, but it is worth it in the long run, and it cost us £489. So moving on to section number 5, you've got your insurance, you're all ready to go to Canada, you know your date, you know where you want want to move to. So your next part is getting accepted into the country. So when you get to Canada, there are a few things that you need to be accepted. Now, one of those is proof of funds to support you while you're in Canada, and also enough money for a return flight home, and they have to be separate. So your proof of funds needs to be 2,500 Canadian dollars, and the rate as of today, November 2020, that converts back to £1,436 each. So you need £1,436 each to enter the country. Now this can be in cash or this can be in your bank, it doesn't matter, you just need the proof of funds. And then extra, you need to prove that you can have a flight home as well. So I made sure I had an extra £500 extra with my proof of funds to make sure that we can get a flight home as well. We have a bank with Monzo, which we found really helpful, because you can have things separated into different pots. So you can show that obviously if they do ask for the proof of funds and the flights, it was a lot easier to show where our money is. I highly recommend Monzo, especially over here in Canada. We've used the card a lot and best rates going. So we had in our Monzo account proof of funds and then proof of flight home, and we had it in two separate accounts. We had £500 for our proof of funds and £1,440 for our proof of funds. I hope this is all making sense. Right at the end, I am going to do a summary, like I said, of how much it costs in total. I just wanted to break it all down for you guys. So section number 6 is just the extra payments we had, like flights, Airbnb, car hire, etc. So I'm just going to quickly go over that before we end this video, and I'll tell you the total amount of money it costs to get an IEC visa. Now first, I am going to talk about flights. We chose to come in December, which is the cheapest time to fly from the UK over to Canada, and we chose to fly on Boxing Day. We searched the whole year on Skyscanner. Every year might be completely different, but for us it was, and it was £196 one way to Canada, which is incredible. So we paid £196, which was amazing, but just remember, if you're moving over to Canada, you're gonna have a lot of luggage. Me and Jake had, I think it was 3 suitcases each, and it was an extra £50 per suitcase. So in total, we paid around £300 one way to get to Canada, which is still incredible. Like, you can't even get a flight to Spain for that. Like, it was so cheap, and I couldn't believe it. So I highly recommend going during Christmas time, and especially Boxing Day. We had an amazing flight. It wasn't full. It was just us two on a row of 3, and like I said, it was £300 each. You can't really go wrong. Another thing we did is we booked our Airbnb prior to coming to Canada, just because that was a big expense that we didn't want to worry about when we got to Canada. We chose to have the Airbnb for a month long, so we knew we could look at apartments and make sure that St. Catharines was for us. And this is something I highly recommend to do, to be honest. We didn't stay in the Airbnb for the whole month just because we did find an apartment, but it is something that is going to be on my recommended list when I make a recommended video. We booked an Airbnb before we came. The reason we chose an Airbnb instead of a hotel is just because it had all the appliances, like the washing machine, the kitchen, and it was a lot cheaper for a month-long time as well. And there are so many different codes that influencers have for Airbnb, so I think we got 10% off, and we ended up paying £800 for the whole month for the Airbnb, which is incredible, because normally a hotel over here in Niagara Falls is about £100 a night. So we would have only had that for 8 nights for the same price we had a whole Airbnb for a month. So £800 we thought was quite reasonable, especially because we split it between both of us, so it's £400 each for a month accommodation in Canada. And the last thing is obviously optional, depending if you're staying in a city or not, and it is car hire. We needed a car just because we were flying into Toronto and we were staying in St. Catharines, which is an hour away. So a taxi from there to there would have been exactly the same price for a car hire. Obviously we didn't know the area, we didn't know if we wanted to stay there, so we had a car hire which we paid £300 for the week, and that got us around, that got us all our luggage all the way to St. Catharines. We could have got like a train, but with 5 suitcases or 6 between us, it would have been a lot harder, and I definitely recommend a car hire. And it's just good as well, when you get to the area that you've moved to, you can go and venture out and just double check that's the place that you want to live. So like I said, we paid £300 for the car hire as well. This is all the stuff that we had prior to coming to Canada. So we didn't have to fork out these expenses when we got to Canada, which we didn't have to go into our savings for, which was amazing. And then obviously the last thing is your savings for your trip. So if you want to do things when you're out here, then have a little bit of savings extra. But this brings me on to point number 7, which is the final total amount. Like I said, I have just added up everything from applying to your biometrics, to your passport, to your flights. So everything included equaled £4,159. That sounds like a crazy amount of money, but to move from the UK to Canada, that is not bad at all. Obviously that has your proof of funds in, so it has your savings in there, it has your flights, it has your accommodation for a month, it had your biometrics, it had your passport, it has your insurance. So £4,129, I personally don't think it's that bad. Now, what I would highly recommend, like I said, I am not an advisor of money at all, but this is just something I recommend, is £5,000 each to move to Canada, because that extra 800 and something pounds could be put into your savings, and just in case you find an apartment and you need to put down like your first month rent, you have the money there. So I highly recommend, and I always say this to people that message me, how much does it cost to move to Canada from the UK? Make sure you have £5,000 saved, and that will get you your flights, that will get you accommodation, that will get you your visa, and that will get you your savings as well. Me and Jake did come over here on a budget because we stupidly went to Florida the week before we moved to Canada. We came over to the country with the minimum amount of money, which is the 2,500 Canadian dollars, and we managed to get an apartment. We managed to live our best life for the first 2 weeks, but we did have to get a job quite quickly. So just keep that in mind when you do come to Canada. If you're someone who wants to travel before you start working, then you will need a lot more money than we came over with. But if you're someone like us and you're living on a budget and you don't have much money, then it can be done with the bare minimum, which is £4,129. So this brings me to the end of the video. I hope it was interesting. I hope you learned something. If you have any other questions, please just drop it down in the comments below. If you did like the video, then please hit the thumbs up. If you have any other questions or you want me to do any other videos, then like I said, leave it in the comments and I'll definitely get round to doing it for you guys. Make sure you go check out my Instagram, it's louisewarearmstrong. We also have a joint Instagram called Our Canadian Life, and we post on that all the time. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and thank you so much for all the support that you guys have gave me over the last few months. Like I said, we have nearly been in the country for 1 year. That's crazy, and we will be doing a 1 year update when it gets to that point. But thank you so much for watching. We will see you on Monday with our day on.